Hi, this is ArKay from the Toy Tomb. This is definitely not Willie with a cold, as I've been accused of being, but anyway, I had a cold, and I was down for a few days. But I'm back up again, and I thought I would cover a Batman model. Now, I have other models I was planning on doing, but I didn't have time to build one. I have a Batman model and it broke the other day, so I thought I would fix it and clue you in as to what I was doing with it. Now, this is the cover, this is the box cover of the Aurora Batman model, and this is the model I'm talking about. I do have this model. I bought it back in 1988, 89, so I don't think it was Aurora. It might have been a Polar Lights back then, even back then, I don't know. I kind of like the model. I like the pose, but what I never really understood was why Batman was hanging off a tree with an owl and leftover bats from Aurora's Dracula model. It just kind of didn't make sense to me. I mean, it's cool looking. It's a very nice sculpture and design. So I bought the model, and at the time they weren't reissuing the Robin model. Now the Robin model would have been kind of cool because the Robin model, you know, he's throwing a switch. It looks like there's an emergency or something somewhere in the Batcave, or they're at some lab or something, and he's throwing the switch just in time. What could have been nicer is if the two models had shared bases. See, I mean, here's the Penguin. The Penguin, who just had a batarang thrown at him by Batman. You can see it right there in the top of the box. I mean, having a shared base would have been nice. Instead, they chose to keep Batman in a tree. I bought the model. I put it together. I did not want to build it in that scenario. This is the cape from the model. It looks like the way that Batman's cape was drawn, with the two air pockets there puffing up his cape. If you look at the Batman from the 1950s, 1960s comics, he was drawn like that. Cape is kind of heavy. It's not light. It's a lot of plastic. Would make a good scoop. But that's not what I wanted to do. A magazine that was published back then, in Model and Toy Collector magazine, I picked this one up in 1989. This isn't actually it. This is a picture of it on the screen. But this is the issue that I had. And to be perfectly honest with you, somebody, and I wish I still had the magazine because I'd like to give them credit, had the idea of customizing that Aurora Batman and making it a whole different model. So I read the article. I liked what the guy had done. So I did the same thing. The idea was to make a retro 1940s style Batman. Well, I did. I put the older Bat logo on his chest. I think I had one shade of flesh. I didn't have a lot of materials back then. I really wasn't making models back then. And I added Milliput to his ears to give him the long ears. I painted him in black and gray. And his cape, I ditched the other cape, and that's just a piece of plastic that I cut out, and then I used a hairdryer to make it flare out a little bit. And then I hung him from the ceiling with a string. And here's where the idea for this video came. I didn't have the string secure, and this came crashing down the other day and broke into a few pieces. So I took the opportunity of putting it back together again, but I added a couple of touches. And one of the touches was that using the 3D printer, which I know I keep mentioning, I made those little pouches just like the 1940s, 50s Batman might have had. And I printed them out, and I glued them on the belt, and I painted it. And I also added soles. Since he's running around the city, he should have some really tough soles. So I printed out some soles and put them on the bottom of the boots to make them more ready for his urban warfare. So I know that there are, online you can see other people have done this. They've made this pose, they've ditched the base, they've hung them from a string. But basically, wherever they got the idea, I know that somebody in Model and Toy Collector magazine had this idea back in 1989, and I'm really glad he did, because I built it back then. It hung from my ceiling ever since then, until recently when I moved, and then when I hung it back up, I didn't secure it right, it broke, and I had to repair it. And I think I repaired it for the better. So it's not very elaborate, it's not highly customized, it's kind of out of the way. I kind of like it up there. Anyway, if you have any Aurora models, or you're thinking of getting the reissue, which this Batman model from Aurora is online, think about how you might want to change it from the tree base that looks like it belongs more with the Dracula Aurora model. Well, thanks for checking this out.
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Oh boy! Yeah!
Hey, there's Hasbro! Hasbro makes toys! What's new, Hasbro?
Pretty sneaky, sis.
Remember, you can tell it's Mattel. It's...
Okay, let them go! Some of the great SSP racers for 72.
M-A-R-X spells Mark, world's largest toy maker.
Remember, every boy wants a Remco toy, and so do girls. And remember, if it isn't Duncan, it isn't Yo-Yo.